Okay, what's the output by the following code? All right, so let's run through the code. Notice we have a outer for loop, which I starts off as 5. We're going to check the condition. Is 5 greater than or equal to 2? That's true. So since that's true, step 1 is true, I'm going to go into step 2 and I'm going to run all of the code inside of that for loop. So I'm now going into step 2. So the thing though is that the code inside of this for loop is to run another for loop. Okay, great. So here we have J, which starts off as 2. I check the condition for J, 2 less than or equal to 4, true. So I'm going to go into the code for the for loop. It's going to print I times J. So on my output, 5 times 2, my first print is 10. Then this is just a print by itself, so it prints the 10 with a space, so the cursor stays on that same line. Then step 2 is done running for the inside loop here, so we go to step 3 for the inside loop. Because remember, when you running the inner loop has to be completely done before you go to step 3, because this loop here is a part of step 2. Before I go to step 2 on what I've done the annotations in pink to represent the outer loop, right? Step 2 has to be completely done before I go to step 3 for the outer loop. So I have to completely finish this inside loop before I move on. So I go to step 3 for the inner loop. J goes up by 1, so J is now 3. I go to my condition, 3 less than or equal to 4. That's true. So I execute step 2 for the inner loop again. I print I times J, 5 times 3, that's 15. So it prints 15 with a space, and the cursor stays on that same line. Step 2 is done for the inner loop, so I go to step 3, J goes up by 1. So now J is 4. We check the condition. Is 4 less than or equal to 4? Yes. So we go to step 2 for the inner loop. We print I, 5 times J, 4, which is 20. So it prints a 20 with a space. The cursor stays on the same line, since it's the print, not a print len. Step 2 is done on this inner loop, so we go to step 3. J goes up by 1. J is now 5. Okay? So when I check the condition, is 5 less than or equal to 4? That's a no. So now I would exit this loop. The inner loop is done. And I'm not done on executing step 2 that I've boxed here in pink yet, because remember, once this for loop is done, look at this line of code right after. It's a system out print ln, which means that now the cursor moves to the next line, because you're printing just like an empty string. So you basically what you just printed is a new line, which will move the cursor to the next line. So anything that follows will go on the next line. Anything that prints will go on the next line. So now step 2 for the outer loop is done. So now I go to step 3 on my outer loop. I goes down by 1. So I goes down to 4. I check the condition. Is 4 greater than or equal to 2? Yes. So since step 1 on the outer loop is true, I go to step 2 and I'm going to run this same code I did a second ago again. So J starts off as 2. We're starting that loop again, so J restarts as 2. We check is 2 less than or equal to 4? Yes. So it prints out I, 4 times J, 2. So the next print is 8 with a space. Then J goes up by 1, J goes to 3. We check the condition, 3 less than or equal to 4, true. So it prints 4 times 3. It prints 12 next with a space. Then J goes up by 1, J becomes 4. We check the condition, 4 less than or equal to 4, true. So it prints 4 times 4, which is 16 with a space. Then J goes up by 1, which makes it 5. But when we check the condition, 5 less than or equal to 4, that is not true. So we stop the loop exits, and then the code after the loop is just to print a line, which moves the cursor over to the next line. Okay, so step 2 on the outer loop is done. So I go to step 3 on the outer loop, which is I minus minus. So we decrease I by 1, I goes down to 3. We check the condition. Is 3 greater than or equal to 2? Yes, that's true. So since that's true, I go in and I execute step 2 for the outer loop again. So same thing here, j starts off as 2, 2 less than or equal to 4 true, so we print 3 times 2, which is 6 with a space, then j goes up to 3, 3 less than or equal to 4 true, so we print 3 times 3, 9 with a space, then j goes up to 4, and we check 4 less than or equal to 4 true, so we print 3 times 4, 12 with a space, and then j goes up to 5, but 5 makes the condition false, so then that inner loop is now done. We print a new line. Line goes to the cursor goes to the next line, and that is step 2 on the outer loop, all done. So we go to step 3 on the outer loop. I goes down by 1, so I now is 2. And we check the condition again. Is 2 greater than or equal to 2? Yes, it is. So we do this again. So now I go into this inner loop and I execute the same code. So j starts off as 2. 2 less than or equal to 4 will be true, so we print 2 times 2, 4 with a space. Then j goes up to 3, 3 less than or equal to 4 true, so we print 2 times 3, 6 with a space. Then j goes up to 4, 4 less than or equal to 4 true, so it prints 2 times 4, 8 with a space. And then when j goes up to 5, the condition is false, so we exit. Now we do print a new line, so that would just move the cursor to the next line. And then step 2 is done for the outer loop, so we do step 3. So I goes down to 1. When we check, is 1 greater than or equal to 2? False. So now the outer loop is done. We will go to any line of code after the outer loop, but there's nothing there. So the program is done, and this is the output, which matches answer choice A. Based on the test, okay, because that did take a long time, but normally with these kinds of questions on the test, after you do the first few iterations, like after actually the third print here, 20, I could have stopped, and by looking at the answer choices, I knew that the answer was A. Okay, so you don't need to finish the full one sometimes. You can maybe look at the answer choices and determine which one is correct after the first few iterations.